Welcome back to the True Geordie YouTube channel. Apologies, I've been away for a little minute. I was in Las Vegas and it was unbelievable. Loved it. And sadly for America, it's been a bit of a dark couple of weeks actually, because there was that young girl killed on the train. This girl here, I mean, this video came out on social media and it was really one of the most disturbing things I've ever watched. Like seeing someone so vulnerable and just totally unaware that they were about to have their life taken from them. You know, we get desensitized to stuff, but like, she's just so fucking fragile. And that one just, yeah, it got me. It really was just pure evil in human form when that guy took her life so flippantly. And the week after that, when I was away, Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and I've had so many messages saying, you got to talk about this. And as usual, if you want me to talk about it, I'll talk about it. If you don't know who Charlie Kirk is, this is the guy right here. I wasn't even that familiar with him before his assassination, to be honest. I knew he debated people on college campuses, and I knew he was like aligned with Trump a bit. I remember seeing him on stage, but I maybe had seen a couple of clips of him, right? I wasn't really familiar with everything he stood for. So when I seen the footage of him getting shot, which was fucking shocking, by the way. I mean, we get so desensitized to this sort of stuff, but very rarely do you see someone mid-sentence and then blood just bursting out of their neck. I was literally like having a beer in a swimming pool, and for hours afterwards, I was like, what the fuck have I just watched there? Like, because this guy, to me, not knowing really much about him, just a fucking YouTuber, right? Really. And to just see someone mid-sentence have that happen to them, it fucking blew me mind, like. Now, I won't show the actual footage because it's fucking so horrific. I don't think anyone needs to see it, but I will show what was going on in the crowd as it happened.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. No, stop. Charlie, stop. Charlie. You gotta get out of here. You gotta get. Oh my gosh. Charlie.
I think that was the like security guys carrying his body away. It must have been really fucking traumatic for those kids in the audience to see it up close and personal like that. I mean, fucking hell. It was bad enough on video.
They're not counting gang violence. Great.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Get down, get down, get down, get down. Get down. Get down. Go on, get down. Get down. Get down. Get down. No. It's right. It's right. It's okay. Pray. Please bless us. Please keep us safe. Pray. Please.
I don't know if I'm just an emotional person, just to hear like young women praying for their life like that is something that shouldn't happen. Do you know what I mean? It's pretty bad, that, bloody hell. And after I seen the horrific video of this guy getting killed, he's 31 years old, I later found out, young looking dude, right? I expected online for there to be, obviously there's always going to be people saying some shit, but because I'm unfamiliar with, you know, how loved and hated he was to some degree, I was shocked at the reaction and the amount of jubilant celebration that this lad had had his life taken away from him, even in as brutal a fashion as it was. No one seemed to give a fuck. And I'm like, well, what the fuck has he done? Like, what has this guy said here? Because I'm clearly out of the loop. I've seen a guy I actually know personally write a negative post about him. And I messaged him like, can you give me some context as to like what your problem is with him? He never got back to me. So I just thought, you know what? Let me just get as many clips as I can of all the random different subjects he's covered, as much as I can in the short space of time I've had since getting back from Vegas to now. And look at what he said and look at what he stood for. And ask the question, was it justifiable that these people are so happy that he was killed? Even a little bit. Like, was he an arsehole? Was he someone who had this coming to him? And that seems like a silly question because no one deserves to die in that way, really. But like, what was the reason for their level of happiness at this? I need to understand this if people want me to do a video on it. And when I looked up on like, who is Charlie Kirk and the articles that were being printed about him post-death, this one came up. Charlie Kirk was an unrepentant racist, transphobe, homophobe, and misogynist who often wrapped his bigotry in Bible verses because there was no other way to pretend it was morally correct. So reading that, I'm like, okay, he was religious and clearly these communities are the ones he's rubbed up the wrong way. On the flip side, the people who who were supporting him online, they put it across that him debating all these kids on college campuses was challenging the narrative of what it meant to be a conservative, right? Generally, younger people are leaning left, especially at universities. This guy's like a one-man army, like debating all of these people and trying to change their minds, and seemingly being very successful in doing so. He was given a lot of credit by these conservative people posting about him, saying like he did something that no one has ever done as a younger person in bringing waves of people over to their side and being an influencer in the truest sense of the word. And many said because of that, he was destined to be president. It was almost like this was a trial run for what was later to come. And I actually found a clip on why he would debate all these people. What was the reason behind it, in his opinion?
I go around universities and have challenging conversations. Because that's what is so important to our country, is to find our disagreements respectfully. Because when people stop talking, that's when violence happens.
I've never seen someone do this.
Well, it's a growing trend because people like me are facing violence, assaults. The left. Yes, the campus Antifa. I've been stormed out of restaurants. I've been assaulted publicly, multiple death threats.
Okay, so what's your goal in all this?
There's more people that agree with me than some people would actually believe, and they come out of the woodwork when I do stuff like this. We record all of it so that we put it on the internet so people can see these ideas collide. When people stop talking, that's when you get violence. That's when civil war happens, because you start to think the other side is so evil and they lose their humanity.
I think he's like trying to normalize being a conservative, because especially amongst young people, I know when I was growing up, it was, you're scum, right? You are scum if you're a conservative in this country and you're a young person. And what he's saying is I'm showing on camera, that there are plenty more of that silent, a bunch of people doing that, but also he's letting the ideas collide. He's giving them a chance to put their point across and him put his point across, and therefore giving himself an opportunity to prove to people, in his opinion, that his side is right and their side is wrong. And the fact that he even mentions, the violence that can come from this, when he literally died doing it, is pretty fucking mad. Now, I'm going to get into a whole bunch of clips where he talks about a whole range of controversial topics right now, and I'm just going to give my opinion on, do I think he was out of order? Was he right? Was he wrong? And you can let me know in the comments what you think. So this is Riley Gaines, the girl who complained about the man who was swimming on the swim team and who beat her and a whole bunch of other girls to medals. She was on his show.
And these people are sick, and I don't say that lightly. The NCAA is a perverted organization. They platformed a biological male who won a national championship and then was allowed in incredibly disturbing detail to be around you and your fellow competitors.
I think he means in the locker rooms.
I blame the decline of American men. This never should have been, someone should have just took care of it the way we used to take care of things in the 1950s or 60s. But, as you have testosterone rates go down and men start acting like women and they don't do anything.
A lot of people said that he was calling for violence there when he says dealt with it the way they would in the 50s and 60s. I think what he means is drag that man out of the women's locker room. And I fully fucking support that, by the way. This one, there's nothing wrong with anything he said. And he's right. There is a growing trend of weak men who are allowing nonsense to go on in this world. So I fully fucking support that. I don't think for this one, there's nothing wrong with it. Imagine you got a fucking daughter in high school and they're letting some fucking fella in the fucking locker room with her while she's getting changed. Fuck that.
You understand we are one of the only countries in the industrialized world that has birthright citizenship.
And I am proud to be that. We are a country of immigrants. See,
no, we're not. No. We're a country of settlers, not of immigrants.
Okay.
That's a big distinction. Let me tell you the difference. Settlers are people that build a new country that was barren. Immigrants come to a country already built. The people who built this country, they went west to an unconquered, barren country and built a new society. Immigrants helped enrich it. They helped grow it upon that. But the foundation of America were settlers, not immigrants.
Can't argue. Like, literally, I can't argue with that. I don't think that's a negative, though, about immigrants. He's literally just stating a fact, right? Like, immigrants came and enriched it. Settlers built the original core of it.
My wife does things with my child that I can't even dream of doing, such as having an intuition, compassion, empathy. She can operate on 30 minutes of sleep. I need 8 hours. Women have a different giftedness, I believe, given by God. The woman's intuition is far better than my intuition. I trust my wife's gut when it comes to people, when it comes to relationships, and she leans on me for, investments or politics. We are given different gifting. There is a general rule, and the general rule is that women are far far more gifted at people and caretaking.
Not wrong with that. I've seen like a couple of the titles of these clips, and I know it's going to get way more controversial than this, right? But considering, he was called a misogynist in that original clip, I think he's giving quite a lot of credit to women there. There we go. We got the gays now. Shit's about to pick up.
I'm a gay conservative, and I just want to ask you, what do you have to say for people like me who kind of feel like, I guess, it's kind of hard for gay conservatives because there's not a lot of us. So, like, what do you have to say to other gay people who need to realize, like, they do have a choice?
Yeah, first of all, welcome to the conservative movement. I don't think you should introduce yourself just based on your sexual attractions.
No, I agree. I like
because that's not who you are.
I like to be thought of as a person, and
for sure, you are a complete human being, and I'm sure you treat people well, and you're studying something. So I want to get away with this idea that you're gay anything. I just think that we have gone a long way in the negative direction in this country, where we act as if the most important part of your identity is what you do in the bedroom. It doesn't mean that much to me, but if you ask from a perspective as a Christian, I don't agree with that lifestyle, but politics is about addition and multiplication. I imagine you agree with a lot of what we talk about.
Absolutely.
Right? Strong borders, strong country, and for that, we welcome you into the conservative movement.
The guy's called a homophobe. What the fuck am I listening to right now? What is the homophobic behavior kicking in here? He's coming across very likable right now. I'm sure there's way more controversial stuff, because I've seen some of the titles. It's got to get way more tricky than this, but that was a nice thing to say. Making a young kid who's probably nervous standing in front of a crowd of people and saying, look, you're more than just your sexuality. That's not even relevant to me, like in politics. It's not really what a homophobe would say, is it?
Up until about 5 years ago, when gay marriage was legalized nationwide, the conservative movement has been explicitly pro-traditional family. Now, both you and your organization advocate for the acceptance of anti-Christian, immoral lifestyles like homosexuality and transsexuality.
Okay, so this guy clearly not a fan of gay people, and he's asking Charlie here, are you going to promote that as a conservative?
Let me ask you a question. Are you a Trump supporter?
Yes, sir.
So are you a proud Trump supporter?
Of course.
So are you sickened that he had a gay man speak at his convention?
Yes.
Then you're not a Trump supporter, my friend. Thank you very much. Let me ask you another question. Should he return the money of Peter Thiel, an openly gay man who supports his campaign?
No, if it helps him strategically,
okay.
Sure, he can.
Should he stop talking to Tammy Bruce, who's an open lesbian that's a Fox News contributor?
If it's affecting his ideas, then probably, yeah.
Okay, so you say you're a Trump supporter, yet you have all these issues and these disagreements with him. Let me be very clear about my position. My personal position. I'm a Christian first and foremost, then an American, then a constitutionalist, then a conservative. In that order. I believe marriage, biblically, if we want to have a biblical and theological discussion, as articulated in the greatest book ever to exist in the history of the world, the Holy Bible. Marriage in the Holy Bible is one man, one woman. I also do not believe in the sort of rhetoric that some people engage in, that all of a sudden that they say there's no place for gay people in the conservative movement. I do not believe that.
That's not conservative.
And let me ask you a question. Can I ask you a question then?
Sure, go for it.
So, the American family, liberty, freedom, the Constitution, our history, veterans. That's what we're conserving.
Again, I think that this term homophobic, much like a lot of other terms these days, has just been overly thrown around. Like the guy standing up for gay people becoming part of the Conservative Party. I don't understand how he's homophobic here. Maybe there's something else I'll get to later. This is Charlie on race.
Give me one thing that white people and black people have different biologically.
Don't change the question of this way. DNA-wise, we are different.
No, we're not. That's a lie. It has been disproven. Front page of National Geographic 6 months ago. Racism created by society. If you look at DNA independently in a science laboratory, they cannot distinguish between a black person or a white person if they look at just the DNA, because the only difference is the melanin. It has been disproven. Race is a social construct that I want to break out of.
Obviously, I haven't got the full clip there, but that sounds like he's saying, look, we are all the same. Genetically, we're all equal. We're no different from each other. It's literally just the color of the skin. Everything inside is identical, which it's a very small clip. It doesn't disprove anything about his, possible prejudice or whatever. But I think it's a very healthy thing to say.
Can we both agree, though, that the less we talk about race as a country, probably better? That if we look at people as human beings first and not race.
I agree with that.
Okay, we can agree. Thank you, man. God bless you.
I mean, look, this is a very small clip and there isn't much context. But overall, looking at people as just people and not what their race is, I think is a good thing. Let's see what else he says about it, because I'm sure there's more. But there's no I ain't got a problem with what he said there.
Do you believe that there should be a law against men going up to windows to watch women undress?
Yes, of course I do.
Then why is it okay for a man to legally walk into a woman's locker room?
My question
Well, hold
for
on.
you.
No, it's illegal to look through a window at a woman undress. Why should it be legal to walk into a locker room to watch women undress?
Well, that's assuming that they are going in there to watch women undress when they are actually going in there for a space for them to undress themselves in a space where they feel comfortable.
Why can't they do that in the sex that was on their birth certificate? Why can't they undress alongside other men if they're a man? They could put a dress on in that locker room, but they're just around other men.
Why do you want them to so badly?
Well, because I think women should be protected from perverts. Like, what is to prevent a regular guy on the campus of Boise State say that I'm a girl and he just walks into the girls' locker room? At what point are you okay with them walking into the locker room? What do they have to do to satisfy you to be allowed into the women's locker room?
Not be perverts or not going in there to be
How do you
around
know?
women in
If all of a
private
sudden,
space.
if all of a sudden one of these guys, all of a sudden put on a dress, put on a wig, and just walked into the locker room with the full intent to watch women undress, which unfortunately is a lot of perverts, are you okay with that? How do you know they're not a pervert?
I am not okay with someone walking into a bathroom or a locker room with the intent of watching women undress, but the baseline disagreement, the misunderstanding, and we can't, I don't think...
We don't know all the intent. The point is that we keep men and women separate because a lot of men want to see naked women, so we don't allow them...
As a man who likes to look at naked women, I can attest to that. We do want to see women naked, and that is why we should not be allowed to put a dress and a wig on and go wandering around in their fucking locker room. Crazy, man. Crazy. This is just common sense, in my opinion. There's nothing controversial about this.
How am I a fascist?
No, dude. Like you
can you name one thing I believe that's fascist?
You believe that like you are.
But I'm such a bad fascist. I let the people who disagree in open mic to talk to me for 2 hours uninterrupted.
Again, I'm still learning about this guy, but that is really a good point. Like, if you're a fascist, you want to silence the opposition. You want to rule with an iron fist. You don't want to say, he has a microphone, come and disagree with me. Let's see what you got. That does not add up to me. Maybe there's more views I'm going to uncover here. Don't get me wrong, but that is a very good point.
The wealthiest counties in the country all vote for Democrats. You know that, right? 8 out of 10 of the wealthiest counties in the country vote for Democrats. The wealthiest people, absent Elon Musk, are all on the left. Jeff Bezos, George Soros, Mark Benioff, Mark Zuckerberg, Lorraine Powell Jobs. On the left, yes. The richer you are, the more likely you are to be a Democrat and on the left.
Explain that to me, please.
The numbers speak for itself. The Democrats are the party of the oligarchy. Can you name one tech CEO outside of Elon Musk that is a conservative?
I personally think... Let me think. Peter Thiel?
Yeah, that's one. That's one. Larry Page, Google, on the left, worth $120 billion. Sergey Brin, Google, $130 billion on the left. Lorraine Powell Jobs, Mackenzie Bezos, Jeff Bezos.
If they're on the left, what has they done that was like, quote unquote, to do the left stuff?
Well, okay, so Larry Page gives money to left-wing NGOs all the time.
Like, if you're on the left, I don't think you will ever be this rich.
Well, they are. You know why? Because the left
they're not.
No,
because they're not.
The left is a scam. The left uses
How is this?
Let me tell you why. It's a good question, actually. The left uses people like you that think that, oh, we're going to fight the rich. Well, they protect their oligarchy. While you guys have to keep on working hard to never own anything, when we conservatives are the ones that actually want to restore the American middle class and bring jobs back to this country.
How would you restore?
Let me finish. The left uses people like you every day, and they use people on you by the trans thing, the abortion thing. Keep voting for us because the fascists are going to take your rights away. When who's funding the left? The richest people. George Soros. Do you know who George Soros is?
Who is funding? Dude, I have never seen a leftist organization come to campus spreading their propaganda.
Well, because the whole university is a leftist organization spreading propaganda.
It's liberal. There is a clear-cut difference between a leftist and a liberal. Please make
you're
that
coming
right.
after this in a good way because I'll just say Democrat politics, okay?
Okay.
Almost every major, powerful, wealthy person in the country over $100 billion in net worth, with the exception of one person, Elon Musk, is on the cultural left and gives money to the left. Mark Zuckerberg gave $400 million in the 2020 election to help get Joe Biden reelected through the Center for Technology and Civic Life. Mackenzie Bezos.
That helps his case, obviously. He would donate money to his...
Okay, but hold on. But 1 second. Mackenzie Bezos with $45 billion, major Biden backer. Laurene Powell Jobs worth $20 billion. Steve Jobs' widow, one of the most radical left-wingers in the Emerson Collective. Mark Benioff from Salesforce worth $12 billion. One of the most radical left-wing guys that you'll see out there. The eBay guy, Omador, one radical left-wing. It's so important for you on the left. You guys are being scammed and gamed because they talk a good game about building the middle class, but it is not the party of democracy. It's the party of oligarchy. And you can go fact check me tonight, and you might actually have cognitive dissonance. Type in this: wealthiest counties in the country. They almost all vote for Joe Biden. Who gives the most political donations to the left? All the wealthy people. Go look up the top billionaires on the Forbes list, the top 100. Only about 10 of them give the Republican, the other 80 give the Democrat, the other 10 don't give it all. It is mind-blowing when you realize the shift in power the last 10 years. Republicans used to be the party of the rich. You know what changed? We nominated a class traitor as our nominee, Donald Trump.
He makes a compelling argument, right? And I'm not saying what he's saying is facts, but he's good at what he does, right? As the more I watch him, the more I'm like, okay, you're a skilled talker here. While I disagree with him that the right is some sort of savior, I think the right are just a sham as well. I think both sides are a sham. He is totally right in that this notion that the left are for the little guy, it's an absolute scam. And the fact that Kamala Harris was able to spend $1 billion on her last campaign should tell everyone that. Where the fuck did that money come from? Why are such rich people investing into trying to get her elected? It's not because it's going to get worse for them, is it? There's the fucking clue. And it's funny because in my country, I was raised thinking the exact same thing, that the left were the savior for the working classes. And the reality is they don't give a fuck. And neither do the right, don't get me wrong. None of them do. It's all a sham, in my opinion. That's where I differ from his opinion.
I've heard you say before that you think diversity is a weakness. I just want to ask you why you think diversity is a weakness.
Well, think about it. Unity is a strength. Diversity is not. If you're trying to create a team, for example, if you guys want to win the SEC again, which I am pulling for Texas A&M to win an SEC championship again, and every single player is getting different call signs, that is definitionally different. And unity is what creates a good football team. We're brought together by what brings us together, not what is different. And so differences are actually not a strength when you're trying to create a team, a country, a military, a football team, a unit, a corporation, or so on and so forth.
Okay, well, glad we're not a football team. I'm glad we're a country. So
it's a metaphor.
That was a funny response, to be fair. I don't think the analogy is perfect, but yeah.
If like Ilhan Omar comes into America and doesn't share our values, doesn't speak our language, and hates America, different call signs, not united. Diversity becomes a weakness, not a strength. When you import a lot of people that don't share your values, like we have been from Somalia and from the third world, all of a sudden they say diversity is a strength. Is it really? Is diversity a strength in Minneapolis? Is that really a strength? No. You know what is a strength? The unity we find in being an American.
I agree and disagree. On the one hand, diversity is our strength is just repeated over and over and over again. And yet, the more diverse these countries become, the more divided they appear. And in that sense, I think he has a bit of a point. Now, don't get me wrong. Having a variety of people coming into the country can enrich the country itself. No doubt about it. Look at the NHS, for example, right? In the UK, we have workers from all over the world, and they, without doubt, have made that whole system much better. Even down to the England football team. You can't deny we've gotten better because of people who've come into this country. And as long as the people coming in's core beliefs support that country and put into the system and help it to grow, rather than taking from the system that the natives of that country have been building for generations, then diversity can absolutely add value, and it will. And I think we have seen that, especially in like my parents' and grandparents' generation. You know, we've seen a large core of natives and then people coming in and helping and adding to it. I think where the issues start is when people start to feel like more is being taken out of the system that their parents and grandparents' parents have built instead of being put into it. And I think there's a lot of debate going on about that right now, as though maybe people feel like there's a line being crossed here and that it's taken the piss at this point when you've got people who were born in this country struggling and maybe not getting as much help as people who've just arrived. That creates a divide. That creates anger. And we're seeing it all over the news every day now in the UK.
It's wrong to murder a baby.
baby.
You're not murdering a baby. It's not a baby.
What is it then?
It is an embryo.
What species is the baby in the womb?
It's a human, but it's
Therefore,
an
they should have
embryo.
human rights.
No, I do not agree.
Oh, so small humans, no human rights. Grown humans, human
It's
rights.
not a small human. It's an embryo.
It has a heartbeat. It has brain
That does
waves.
not make it a child.
The excuses given for abortion is dehumanization. Oh, it's just an embryo. Guys, that's just using different language to justify the massacre of something smaller than you. Yeah.
If I were to be pregnant right now and forced to have a baby, that would ruin my life. If I just happened to be pregnant.
Oh, you don't happen to get pregnant. It's like not like getting COVID.
The lack of responsibility for getting pregnant there was amazing. I'd just stumble over and fall on a dick in the middle of the street. It just happens sometimes.
How about
But
this?
say
You
I got
take
pregnant.
responsibility for your orgasms and
What if
stop
that doesn't
eliminating
work?
people smaller than you.
So you're saying I should carry a baby and ruin my collegiate life?
How about this? Instead of saying ruin, first of all, babies are a blessing. Stop talking at them as if they're some sort of annoyance.
I will have to drop out of college.
Number two, you play certain games, you win certain prizes. If you're going to go have sex...
So you're saying I should drop out of college to support my child and supporting my life?
I love how she's just so like selfish in this moment. I get it, right? It's a massively impactful situation to be in. But he just said, like, if you end up in that situation, do you not take any responsibility for why that happened? He's kind of saying it's not the baby's fault, is it?
If you're going to engage in coitus, in the practice of having children, you might end up with a baby. So know that. And guess what? You don't need to have sex before you get married.
I can tell now why he really pissed a lot of women because he's holding them accountable for their actions, right? I agree with abortion in certain circumstances. I think if there's a young woman who is, struggling in her life and for whatever reason the contraception did not work, I understand why you would take that course of action, because what you're essentially saying is it is actually better for the baby to not be in my life right now, because I will not be in a position to be able to efficiently look after them and give them the right life. I think that's fair, but I also don't think it should be constantly used as some sort of, if you just can't be asked with contraception and just keep going back and getting abortion after abortion after abortion. I do believe that when a baby is conceived, it is a little baby, no matter how small it is. I agree with that. There's literally a heartbeat there from very, very early on. All the genetics of the characteristics of what it's going to become, it's all there. If a woman gets, attacked or something happens where it's forced on her, totally understand why they would want an abortion, and I don't have any problems with that. I've seen a clip of Lily Allen saying she's had 5 abortions, and I'm like, how do you end up with 5? How does that happen? And that's where I think he's got a point of like, human life should be respected, in my opinion, and I don't think abortions should be treated as casually as what it seems like they are. And look, I've never had one. I would imagine it's very traumatic, which is why I find it really difficult to understand how you could do it 5 times and not figure out a way to avoid it.
In any case, you don't think there's any case where abortion should be legal?
There's a very, very rare couple cases.
Okay, so you do
where-
think
hold on
that a
one
couple
second.
cases
Hold
it
on.
is legal?
If cesarean section is not going to save the mother's life, and the mother's life is actually at risk, which is debated amongst growing numbers of OBGYNs,
Okay.
that is the only case where abortion should be
Do you
allowed.
think there
But people say that it is a growing consensus in the pro-life world that abortion is never medically necessary.
Okay, so if you had a daughter and she was 10 and she got raped, and she was
Well,
going to give birth
I
and
do
she
have
would,
a
no,
daughter.
wait, and she was going to give birth and she was going to live, would you want her to go through that and carry her
Well,
rapist baby?
That's awfully graphic. To answer
It's no, but it's a real life scenario that happens
calm
to
down.
many
The
people.
answer is yes, the baby would be delivered.
Oh, okay, great. So that's insane.
But let me tell you why. No, hold on. Let me ask you a question. There's 2 ultrasounds I have. One is a baby conceived in one is a baby conceived by a loving couple. Which one is which?
Your daughter was probably hopefully
which person
conceived
here,
by a
which
somewhat
person here
loving
was
couple.
conceived by? Tell me which one was conceived by.
You don't know.
Exactly, because it's all human rights and
But
it's all
that
human
doesn't
beings.
matter.
So
It's about your
do-
daughter who has to give
no.
birth to it and is going to be tortured by that
Hold
for
on
the
a second.
rest of her
You-
life.
you are
That's
not-
going to take away every
Hold on a
freedom
second.
she's ever going to have.
Hold on.
That's going
Every
to ruin
freedom.
her life. She's going to
You know
grow
what?
up and she's going to be
Abortion is not a
attached to another
victimless
thing.
crime. The point is how you were conceived is irrelevant to what human rights you get.
But-
hold on one second. If a person conceived in walks down the side of the street, it's not like they don't get First Amendment rights or Second Amendment rights.
It's
or
not
Fourth
about
Amendment
that
rights.
person.
The worst thing to do to the daughter is to then say, hey, we're going to go murder the being inside of you.
They wouldn't even know. Like, listen.
They wouldn't know.
Listen.
But wouldn't it be a better story to say
it
something
wouldn't.
evil happened and we do something good in the face of
No.
evil instead of saying we're going to do evil and then murder the being because we're going to pander to the evil? No. What makes the West great is that we do good after evil, not evil after evil.
It's not about the beings, the cells.
No,
It's not about. No. I'm speaking. No, I'm speaking.
We're both-
No, I'm
we're both
speaking.
clumps of
No, I'm
cells.
speaking. No,
We're
I'm
both
speaking.
clumps
No,
of
I'm
cells,
speaking. No,
okay?
I'm speaking. No, I'm speaking.
wanna say it one more time?
No, I'm speaking.
Got it.
Thank you. So it's not. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
I
the
know you
person.
don't care about
No. I'm talking about the person who is dealing with the pregnancy. I am not talking about the cells. I don't
the
care.
cells.
No, listen. The fetus, the whatever. I don't care about that right now
Whatever.
until it is
Wow.
formed.
When
If
formed?
there is a 5-year-old child who is pregnant and the baby is 2 weeks in
Five-year-olds
utero,
can't get pregnant.
actually
Okay.
they have, and they have
Okay.
given birth. There is
5-year-olds have
yes,
given pregnant.
there
I
is
stand
one.
corrected.
There is
I-
one recorded case of a
Okay, I
5-year-old
stand
girl who
corrected.
gave birth.
Is that common?
Yes, not.
What I will give Charlie credit for here is he gets you thinking. Because me personally, I absolutely, if you have a daughter and that horrible thing happens to her at such a young age, to then encourage her to go through and give birth and to affect her whole entire life, especially knowing who the father of the child would be, there's no way I would encourage that personally. But the angle he's coming from is human rights. He is talking about the rights of that baby inside of a child. He said it's not their fault. They are none the wiser. Although some people think he's quite a heartless person, I don't think that's a heartless take on it. I do wonder how much of this is formed by his religious beliefs and you know, is this purely his religious beliefs, or is it what he actually logically thinks is the right way to go? Because really, the love you would have for your daughter, I think, would override your ethical stance or your morals at that point. But the way he justifies it and the way he comes at it, it does make you think. And he's got that girl pretty triggered. And as much as I understand that women would be offended at the fact that he would have said, you know, I would say to my daughter, you should have the baby. I don't feel like he's coming from a totally heartless angle. He's thinking about the baby. And I find these debates quite fascinating because it's very hard to find a right answer there. But on this one, I disagree with it.
Let's define our terms. A woman is an adult female with XX chromosomes. You tell me, what is a woman?
I think a woman is somebody who identifies as a woman.
Got it. So that's not a definition. That's like saying a table is something that identifies as a table. Give me an objective definition of
No,
how...
it's not. A table is an object.
Well,
a table can't identify as anything. It doesn't have choice.
You have to give me an objective definition of what a woman is.
If I decided right now that I wanted to identify as a woman, I would be a woman.
But that doesn't answer the question.
I know, but
you
right
said-
now I'm a man, right? So if that
But you have
happened
to
right
tell
now,
me
I'd be a
what that
woman.
thing
So
is.
once a person makes the decision to identify as a woman,
Got it. No,
they're a woman.
that's a separate issue. What is a woman?
That's the definition.
No, I know, but you have to tell me what.
A person who identifies themselves as a woman.
But you have how do you know that they are that thing?
How do I don't need to know what they are. I can ask them if
Not
I
that
want
they
to
need
know.
But there needs to be. You need to tell me what that thing is, though.
Somebody who. Okay.
That's the face of someone who just got worked. I think the fact that people who go round and round and round like that and say, oh, a woman is someone who identifies as a woman, and they can't actually define it, it sounds so silly. I can't wait when I'm an old man to be like telling the grandkids, like, yeah, back in my day, like, it's going to sound so mental. My granddad taught me about the time he got shot in the war when he was fighting for this country. And my stories are going to be shit. Yeah, back in my day, women weren't even women, son. And now, a word from our sponsors. If you're traveling abroad this summer, then I have got just the thing for you. Because it is so easy to rack up a huge phone bill. And not only that, you get crap service when you're away. You can't get your Wi-Fi. You're running from hotel to restaurant. You've got nothing in between. You're completely disconnected. And even then, the signal is shite. Oh, and if you're not logged into the Wi-Fi and you watch one too many YouTube videos, next thing you know, you get a massive phone bill. But thanks to Saley, you don't have to worry about any of that the next time you go abroad. All you got to do is click the link in the description, download it on Android or iOS. Buy a plan that suits you best, choose any amount of data and time you want. Then you just install the eSIM on your phone. And when you land, you can activate your plan instantly. And I use this every single time I go away. Honestly, this is fantastic. And the best bit is you only have to install it once. So if you go to a different country on your next trip, you don't have to reinstall or install something else. You just buy a plan for the new country you're in, turn the eSIM back on, and boom, you're in business. And what I love about Saley is my connection was actually faster than the hotel Wi-Fi I was on. And I got unlimited data, so I could just scroll to my heart's content. And when I was going between a hotel and a new destination, I didn't have to be completely disconnected and waiting for someone else to give me a Wi-Fi password and any of that nonsense. And they've got 24/7 support. So what are you waiting for? Get 15% off when you use my link in the description below. Go to saley.com/Geordie and get connected now. Go to saley.com/paingame and get connected now. Go to saley.com/kickoff and get connected now.
Baked into the idea of white privilege is that inherently in our culture or society, somebody that has white skin color in this audience has extra privileges that you as a black individual do not have. Can you list what those are?
Sure. When FDR employed the New Deal to counteract the Great Depression, this came with resources that was allowed it to white people. Banks denied 99% of qualified black applicants while also accepting 99% of white applicants.
But today in 2025?
Okay, today in 2025, as I alluded to you, they've done studies in psychology where white-sounding names receive jobs or callbacks more than black-sounding names. They did the two names. It was a white young lady named Anna Scott, and it was a black young lady named Lakeisha Washington. They both put in 80 job applications. Lakeisha Washington received 9 callbacks and received 75 callbacks out of 80.
That's a good point.
That's a really good response. This is one of the best replies that I've seen so far to Charlie, because he's come in with facts.
That study is debated, but let's pretend it's true. Do you think it's racism or something else?
I think that answer is multifaceted.
Because let me make the best. Sorry to interrupt you. If we live under a status of DEI and people are getting jobs that they're not qualified for, wouldn't then an applicant then assume maybe that an applicant might be there based on DEI, not on merit? It actually creates more racism where it doesn't exist.
So DEI is not about going and grabbing some random person of color and saying you therefore qualified. DEI is about considering other qualified applicants.
Well, let's take airline pilots. United Airlines wants 40% all of their airline pilots to be women or people of color. Why does that matter? Number one, because I want a qualified airline pilot, not a person of color airline pilot.
Understood.
So you agree. But number two, there's only so many airline pilots jobs. So when you say we want 40%, by definition, then you have to discriminate against a certain group to get another group to advance, right?
Understood.
Because there's not unlimited amounts of spots for airline pilots or air traffic control or surgeons or whatever position. So when you say that we want to have a quota, that then you have to say we're not going to prioritize a certain group.
Why this is an important point he's making about airlines is going back to the fires in California. I remember noticing that the 3 top people in the LA fire brigade were lesbians. I was like, how the fuck does this even happen? And obviously that led to a lot of people suggesting that they were DEI hires, right? They weren't the most qualified, they weren't the best for the job, which is why they were all doing such a shit job, and that they were put there because it was a good look for the fire brigade to be progressive. Now, fire services are obviously extremely important because it's people's health and safety, much like airline pilots, right? When you've got thousands upon thousands of people's lives in your hands, it is far more important that you're the most qualified person for the job than, let's say, office jobs. If we're doing DEI in offices where people's lives aren't on the line, and we think it's healthy to help people who have had it harder in life, or and try and up the numbers of people from different ethnic backgrounds, I can see totally why that would be seen as a healthy thing and a good thing for a company. When it comes to putting people's lives on the line, I've had a job before which was fucking very serious, very dangerous. If I'm working with people, obviously I don't give a fuck what skin color they are. I want them to be the best person for the fucking job. Because if I get in a serious situation and I'm looking and I'm fucking drowning underwater, the last thing you want is someone who is there not for the reasons they should be. And that's debatable, by the way, because as this guy here has said, I obviously don't know his name, the purpose of DEI is to give people who are still qualified but more of a chance due to their background, I guess. The problem is obviously we've seen with the fire services in California, the people in charge were fucking morons. They were nowhere near as qualified as they should have been. So it is a system that can be abused, rather than you got one candidate who's got one background, one candidate who's got another background, they're equally qualified, and you give it to this candidate for inclusion purposes. That clearly wasn't what was going on in the fire service in California.
What we believe as conservatives is that skin color really doesn't matter that much. We care about character and merit. We want a country built on what you bring to the table, not how you look.
Exactly. And America started out with that based on merit, and theoretically it was supposed to work. In practice, it did not, which is why you have these different programs of affirmative action, DEI, and the Civil Rights Act, because they were not working. You cannot ignore that these policies were created to counteract racism. A counteract to racism is not racism in itself.
I like that, what he just said, by the way. I think that's a great counterpoint. I think initially that makes total sense to me. The reason for DEI, it makes total sense. But like anything, if unmanaged, unregulated, and abused, anything can go from being a good, sensible thing to something that can lead to chaos. And I'm not saying that's happened, but in that fire brigade situation, that is exactly what happened. But that was a great point from the guy.
If you do something racist on top of something racist, that doesn't make the second racist action good. Because if you discriminate against white people to say that we're fighting racism, then that's not a good idea. But instead, I think you can agree that when we build a society like college admissions or job applications, we should say no quotas and just merit. You agree?
I agree.
Then you're against DEI, because DEI says quotas.
Yeah, let me finish. I agree to a certain extent. So when you mention about discriminating against whites, of course, I don't agree with that.
Well, that is DEI, just so we're clear.
Right, and I'm going to say it again.
Cool, all right.
DEI was created to offset racism. We left it up to majority of white America to include people of color or qualifying credentials. They would not. So if my argument is that you're saying it's reverse racism, my argument is that it needed to be there to counteract racism. Sounds like we need to find a different solution for both parties.
I have a great solution. Stop talking about race all the time. Race doesn't mean anything. Because I look at you not as a black guy, but as a human being made in the image of God, and I want to know what you bring to the table. Are you good at the job? Are you better than your competitor? Because let me just pause for a second. I just want you to hear out what we believe. Is that when you talk about race all the time, you start to resegregate society based on tribes, and you lose this idea of e pluribus unum, all made in the image of God, out of many one. And yes, we have made many mistakes in our past, but we were getting closer as a country in my childhood as being not obsessed with race. We've become more race obsessed over the last 10 years, especially the last 5 years, which is why we're seeing the anti-DEI movement, which actually ends up hurting people of color more than previously. And I guess the biggest question, though, is that why should race matter at all? Shouldn't we just de-emphasize it?
What I wanted to first respond to is the notion of stop talking about race. I don't agree with that notion for the simple fact that talking about things bring awareness. Awareness leads to actions. Actions produce change results. I just want to use your logic and flip it on you. Imagine if you had cancer and your doctor was like, let's just stop talking about it. It wouldn't, in the same context that racism wouldn't go away, cancer wouldn't go away.
I really enjoyed this back and forth, and I think that this is kind of what Charlie was saying, I guess, about having healthy conversation, having this discourse to understand people with different opinions, different backgrounds. And I think that this is one of the better versions of that I've seen. Both made interesting points and both, try to help each other understand each other's thinking. And when that happens, it is likely to help mend relations from people from different sides of the political spectrum and people with different lives. This was good.
So you do not hate the LGBT community,
Well, no,
and Turning Point is not against LGBT.
No, how could I hate that which I have a heart for?
Thank you.
And I might not agree at that for some of the lifestyle choices that some people make. But of course not. And if someone said, Charlie, what's your view on marriage? I say, I believe marriage is between one man and one woman. But if you ask me, what do I have hate in my heart for somebody that doesn't choose the lifestyle that I believe that God laid out in the scriptures? Of course not.
I think for a guy as religious as Charlie, I think he tries to toe the line as best as he can in regards to gay people and LGBTQ. Whether or not he really means that is debatable, because I know a lot of people will look at what he really believes in terms of marriage as a man and a woman and say, well, is he just saying that because he wants to be a politician in the future? And the answer is, I don't fucking know. No one can really. He is a political person, and you have to understand that sometimes they are going to say things to keep on the right side of people and make sure that they can get votes down the road. But what I can say is the things I'm hearing about him towards the LGBTQ community are not controversial.
I believe owning a firearm is a right or a privilege?
I believe it's a privilege. I'm going to go with that.
Okay, so then you do not believe in the Second Amendment as it is written?
No, I believe it needs to be amended. I believe in a ban for guns.
Okay, so that's where we disagree, and that's okay. We have clarity but not agreement. I believe that the right to protect yourself and your family against a tyrannical government or a home invader is an inalienable right that must be protected and that no one can take it away. Now, and that's okay, we have clarity on that. We fully acknowledge that when you have liberty, that you're going to have sometimes undesirable outcomes. For example, there are 50,000 people a year that die in auto fatalities. and it's tragic. However, no reasonable person would come up to the mic and say, let's ban driving.
True. The one thing I disagree with, though, is that the primary intention of a firearm is to kill something.
Well, not necessarily. That's interesting. The primary intention of a firearm is actually to protect what you love.
Cars are made for driving. Guns are made to destroy shit. Let's be absolutely clear. He is obviously pro-gun. He's a conservative. But to compare a gun and a car, for me, is just ludicrous. I very recently, when I was in Las Vegas, shot some guns for the first time. And I'm not talking about like a little rifle like you can shoot in the UK, but like I'm talking heavy artillery. But some serious shit. I shot a sniper rifle. The level of damage that you can do with those kind of weapons so quickly, so efficiently, can never, ever be compared to a car. Not in a million years. And it immediately hit me like, it doesn't matter how big and strong I am in this country. Like every little crazy bastard who loses their shit and has a bad day can pull a gun out and boom, it don't matter how much I can bench press anymore. I'm dead. Because these weapons are lethal and so easy to get the hang of. On my first try with a sniper rifle, I hit the fucking the head straight away. Boom. If that was been a real person, the head would have exploded on my first try. And now don't get me wrong, I understand that if, you know, your mother gets, you know, burglarized, you would rather have a handgun to protect herself in that moment. But I'll tell you right now, do I feel safer in the UK or in America? Absolutely, I feel safer in the UK. Because yes, we got knives. Do you know what? Knives can do a lot of damage, but they can do nowhere near the damage of a gun. A guy pulls out a knife, a group of men can overpower him. They can run towards him, want to grab, you know, things can be done. There's a possibility to slow him down quickly and to minimize the damage quickly. If a guy pulls out a gun, no one's running towards him to jump on him. I fought a guy with who had a knife on him before. Do you think I'm fighting a guy who's got a fucking gun? No fucking way. A guy with a gun can take out far more people than a guy with a car or a knife. It's not even fucking close. And Charlie goes on to say in that clip, oh, well, we want to be able to protect ourselves from the tyrannical government. I mean, when was the last time you needed to do that? As opposed to when was the last dozen school shootings? The reality is that having that many guns in America, with the amount of psychos on every single street corner, it's asking for trouble, in my opinion. And you know what? I fucking loved shooting guns. It felt amazing. I felt like an action hero. But the logic has to kick in as well. And if you think you having some handguns is going to protect you from a government with military power, you're delusional, in my opinion. But the reality is, I think the best thing for the country would be to not have guns. And I know some people will think that I'm wrong for that. Fair fucks. But the amount of kids that die in America, look, it's happened in the UK with knives before, but the scale of which it happens in America, the regularity of which it happens in America is crazy to me.
The people in this audience are smart, and they're panicking that they're not going to have a country. They're the first generation since George Washington to have it worse off than their parents. This generation is the most depressed, suicidal, anxious, drug addicted, lowest home ownership, poorest, most overweight, directionless. No, I mean, again, this is true. And also, this generation around you has something very unique. Almost everyone in this audience here had their prom canceled because of COVID.
Just to go on the point he's made there about how this is the first generation who are significantly worse off than their parents, and all of the other problems that are coming with that. Depression, lack of home ownership, all of that. I feel that a lot in this country. I'm sure it's the same in America because of what he's saying there. I'm not saying that I believe that what Charlie was offering was the solution, or that the Conservative Party of America are the solution, but it's clear people are desperate, fucking desperate for a political party to give back what our parents' generation had. Give us something even close to that, because financially, the country is so fucked. Like, it's insane how difficult people are finding it. Simply put, the cost of things has dramatically gone up, and people's income has only very marginally gone up. And it's almost like everyone's like that lobster in the pan, unaware that, like, we're getting fucking slow cooked here and it'll be too late before we fucking can do anything.
I just want to say I'm a transgender male. What age should kids be able to get things like hormone therapy? Because I don't know what's true, what's not.
Tell me, are you comfortable telling me your story?
I've known that since like 3rd grade, and I'm currently 19, almost 20. I have known basically since then. I didn't start going by like a different name until 7th and 8th grade. I just don't know, like with the whole medical stuff, like what's true, what's not, what's helpful, because I've heard so many different opinions.
First of all, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm going to have an opinion that very few people will ever tell you, which is I want you to be very cautious putting drugs into your system in the pursuit of changing your body.
Mm-hmm.
I instead encourage you to work on what's going on in your brain first. I think what you need first and foremost is just a diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
Just someone that is going to listen to what you've gone through, listen to what else is going on. My prayer for you, and again, very few people will say this, I actually want to see you be comfortable in how you were born.
Yeah.
I know that you might not feel that way, but I think that is something that you can achieve. I think that with the right team and the right people, you don't have to wage war on your body. You can learn to love your body.
You see, I think some people would say that as anti-trans or whatever, but I think the way he's wording it is very polite and it sounds very well-meaning and actually a lot more easier to attain than changing yourself dramatically. And the worry is if you do that and you're still unhappy, then, which has happened before to people where they regret it later, then what do you do?
And I can tell you I'm super blessed. I have the best wife in the world. We have an amazing life. Building a family is the coolest thing ever. And my prayer for all of you is that you one day can do that.
That's so cute.
It's honestly the most joyful thing. And I've had some pretty amazing experiences. I've been very, very blessed. Very lucky, you could say, but very blessed is the word I would use. And the greatest joy I've ever had is coming home to my little daughter running up to my leg. There's nothing that even comes close to it. Not flying on Air Force One, not meeting with presidents. That's all that pales in comparison to your little girl coming up and squeezing your leg.
That's the show that they have all the OnlyFans chicks on. And yeah, they're all, like fucking hell, son. You've charmed them. That's really an achievement from what I've seen on that show. I got to give him credit for this one because I think that's a very positive message. And I don't see how anyone could take that the wrong way. Like, I'm a family man. All my friends are family men. I think it is the way forward for men to give their lives meaning. Like, once upon a time, like many young lads, you just live in a way that's just silly and stupid and for fun and pleasure and all of that. But self-worth, self-esteem, nothing can beat when you are the man of the house and you look after people. Nothing can give your life a better feeling than that, in my opinion. And it's quite ironic because if you look back at my original podcast, I probably wasn't in that frame of mind, but I definitely feel that way now. So I've looked at as many clips as I could find of Charlie, and I do apologize if there's something else out there that shows he's a massive twat. Then I haven't tried to avoid it. I hope you can say I've disagreed on plenty of things and I've agreed on some things. And now we're going to see the reaction of how people were when he died, and they seemed really happy about it.
I thought I'd do a quick check-in after yesterday and all of the drama. I want to reiterate that it is not wrong or unethical or unkind to laugh at the misfortunes of terrible people. That Charlie Kirk incited violence. That's what he did. And then that came back to haunt him. That was his decision. So it's got nothing to do with the people who are laughing and joking about him becoming a human water fountain.
Fuck me, a human water fountain. We've all made inappropriate jokes before, but that's fucking brutal, that, like. Apparently this woman works for a mental health company in Melbourne, and she's speaking like that. That's fucking wild.
I received information that I've been doxxed on X, so I'm going to have to step away for a little bit, and the AFP have been contacted, and also the E-Safety Commission as well have been contacted because there's been a large number of threats coming through. And the irony of this situation, that all I did was say some words that offended some people, and now people have decided to take that into the real world and start threatening and harassing and abusing people out in the real world based on their inability to manage their emotions.
She made a joke about the fact that a guy died. He was shot in the neck because of things he said. And you made a joke about that. Now, people are having a go at you because of things you said. And now you're saying that they can't manage their emotions. Fuck me. People are weird. So this woman, I think, is a friend of Charlie Kirk who is doing like one of those debate things, and she finds out Charlie's been shot mid-debate.
Charlie Kirk was just at his campus in Utah. Why are you laughing? He is my friend.
I don't agree with anything. I don't think it's right to shoot him.
Your first reaction is to Charlie Kirk is a and you're smiling and you laughed that my friend just got You had the audacity to laugh? If you think Charlie Kirk is justified because you disagree with his political opinions, you need to study your heart. Because this is what abortion culture has done in our country. Our abortion culture has told people.
I think this is an internet thing. I think it's just made people so detached from reality and there is no compassion now.
A bit of music to commemorate the life, the now ended life of Charlie Kirk. And I hope you'll all join me in this meaningful moment. Rotten piss, you crusty dead bitch.
Yeah, he argued from a different side, but to just be delighted he's been shot and murdered and taken away from his wife and kids, like, it's fucking weird.
Watch the close-up video of Charlie Kirk getting pewed in the neck. No fucking way he survives. So you know what time it is.
I can't imagine someone taking their time out of their life to make a TikTok of celebrating some guy they've never met before being shot in the neck and murdered brutally. I can't imagine you live a happy life. Like, there's just no way. No fucking way, as he's just said. No way you live a happy life. You must be miserable.
Absolutely tragic news on the Charlie Kirk front. Apparently, he was doing one of his talks when a shot rang out through the crowd.
Yeah, we get it. You're delighted.
I've never been happier.
Never believe the reason I'm smiling. And it has nothing to do with Charlie Kirk. Nothing to do with Charlie Kirk.
I would say pour one out for Kirky Boy, but I don't waste good beer on little bitches.
Why do all these people look so weird?
Charlie Kirk just got put down like a fucking dog in Utah, and I could not be happier. Praise fucking be.
I do not, and I will not, ever feel bad when bad people get what the fuck they deserve.
Charlie Kirk got shot? That's awful. That's so sad. Hope he recovers well.
I just heard that someone shot Charlie Kirk? Dang it. Shucks. Thoughts and prayers.
Imagine you were on like a date on Tinder or something and you just so happen to look at a TikTok afterwards and say she said some shit like that. You'd be like, you really appreciate murder a little too much for me to have another date with you. I'm sorry. If you hate the guy and like, I don't know, something bad happened to him, like his business collapsed and he lost his money or some shit, and you gloated a little bit, that's like, okay, you're kicking him while he's down. A lot of people do that. I've had that before. But like murder, like they're just treating cold-blooded murder like it's just like, yeah, well, like it's nothing. It's not classy, is it?
Do you support his death?
I do.
You support his death?
Fuck Charlie Kirk.
You support Charlie Kirk being killed?
Yes, I do.
On the day he died, you're here at a vigil for Charlie Kirk and you support his death.
Do you support a Nazi?
No, I don't support a Nazi. Charlie Kirk wasn't a Nazi.
This word Nazi gets thrown around like, fuck me, man. The way I've watched him talk in these videos, how was he a Nazi? I've seen this one clip of a friend of his who happened to be a black guy kind of defending him on this claim, actually.
I want to give Charlie some credit here, okay? Back in 2019, Charlie Kirk helped a lot of young blacks get to the White House. He changed a lot of their lives. A lot of them never imagined going to the White House, and Charlie helped hundreds of young black boys and girls go to the White House. Charlie, thank you for that.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, man.
So for people who want to call Charlie a racist, kiss my black ass, excuse my language.
Such a bloody Nazi. Unless there's something I've not watched, it's not how it looks to me.
We got Charlie in the neck. We got Charlie in the neck.
Who's up next? We got Charlie in the neck.
You know, when I was his age, I wasn't doing this. Do you know what I mean? Like, again, it comes down to, like, I get politics are important, but some people get so agitated and so gripped in it. And it's really important, even if you're into politics, have a life, have a little bit of, you know, pay attention to what's going on in the world, stay educated as best you can. But some people get so obsessed with it, and it can make people really paranoid, depressed, demented even. And this is the sort of demented behavior. If this was your son, you'd be like, mate, get inside, will you? Fucking hell. Put the fucking megaphone down, you fucking prat. I hope this one isn't true, but it says here, teacher allegedly showed Charlie Kirk assassination video to 10 and 11-year-olds, told students he deserved to be killed. It's gone full mental. We're on planet crazy now. What the fuck is going on with teachers, by the way? I'm really concerned at the level of teaching these days. We need to up the pay of teachers, but because we need to up the qualification to become one. Because people who are shaping the minds of kids is one of the most important jobs, and it's amazing who the fuck gets given these jobs. So this is the guy who killed Charlie here. I'm going to play you can hear his voice.
The value of this scholarship is approximately $32,000. This scholarship is available for 4 years or 8 semesters.
Seems a little socially awkward, as you would expect. This is shots from his mother's Facebook. Let's just say she liked guns. There's more pictures here of the kids in the family all holding massive guns, which just blows my fucking head. Like, I've only just recently shot guns, and I'm like, the idea of putting weapons like that in the hands of children, I get you want to take them hunting or whatever, maybe. But given the fact that what he ended up doing, I mean, she literally gave him a fucking apprenticeship on how to be a fucking sniper. And here he is on graduation, I guess, unless he just wore that all the time. This is her post. This boy is a genius. I'm hoping he'll pick Utah College and stay close to his mama. He got a 4.0, so his options are endless. So he was a very bright lad when it came to academics. It's been confirmed by news sources that he was very pro-gay, pro-trans rights, left-leaning. He also was in a relationship with a man who was transitioning to be a woman. The text messages that they shared after he shot Charlie have been released. The way it's written, and I'm not going to the full thing, but everything is written out in full spelling. The guy was 22 years old. Like, we all know we shorten every text we send, and yet everything was in perfect English. How long have you been planning this? A bit over a week, I believe. Bear in mind, he drove like 3 hours to get to the destination. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. Fucking hell, Grandpa's rifle. I don't know if it has a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about prints. I had to leave it in the bush where I changed outfits. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find the prints. And it's come out that he wrote things on the bullet casings like, "Hey fascist, catch," which I think shows everything about his state of mind and his why. You see when the crowd hits the deck here, him running off of the... There you go. You see him running off of the roof there to get away. There's a lot of debate, though, on whether or not he acted alone. You see two people appear on the roof on this angle. Yeah, there they are right there. And another thing is the hand signals that were being done to the right of Charlie. Tip of the hat, touch the nose, him. Very suspicious behavior in that they would both be doing that almost in sync with one another near him. We've got people such as this FBI agent here on Fox saying this was not just a random guy who had no training. This was a very professional and clean hit. Even Roger Stone, who obviously wrote a New York best-selling book on the Kennedy assassination, said that he was killed by a skilled shooter in a professional hit, either by a nation state or rogue elements of our own government or a terrorist organization. I don't know if he's fucking telling the truth. But it's always these guys who are like socially excluded from, groups, and they're very outcast, and they're not really got much of a digital footprint online, right? There's not their mother had some stuff on him, but that was it, really. And you do wonder, is this guy just some patsy, someone who they're going to blame when it was actually a shooting done with military precision, the likes of which some random 22-year-old prat couldn't do? I don't know. One thing that made it a bit more suspicious was this.
He was assassinated the same day that they voted to release the Epstein files.
Weird,
and
right?
It got rejected, 51 to 49. If it was to have passed, the Justice Department would have been required to release all documents related to the case within 30 days.
That is very suspicious. And there are some people who are suggesting Charlie was maybe about to uncover some stuff about Jeffrey Epstein. He'd been very outspoken about what he thought he was and why he had been protected for as long as he was. And in the UK, we had, a journalist get murdered called Jill Dando before she allegedly was about to uncover a huge government conspiracy. So the fact that they silenced him on a day where they literally turned their backs on the wants of the people, it's unbelievable. And could it be a coincidence? Maybe. It doesn't look good though. And just watching the FBI talk about, how many people could be involved, because this kid, he was on Reddit, he was on Discord, and they are saying that they are investigating more than 20 people that he was talking to who could also be involved in this. Is it possible that he was talking to someone within the government who was encouraging this or helping facilitate this? And some have speculated that one of the reasons he could have been taken out is because of comments like this.
They're going to try to ethnically cleanse Gaza.
Yep.
I mean, I don't use that term lightly, okay?
Before Charlie Kirk was killed, he said Charlie Kirk fears that Israel will kill him if he continues ahead, providing space for Israel critics.
Charlie kind of starting to question the amount of influence that Israel has in U.S., not only domestic politics, but foreign politics as well.
I just don't think we should go to war with Iran. Is a nuclear weapon Iran a threat to America? Probably. Could be. It's a threat to Israel, but is it a threat to America? I mean, India has nuclear weapons. Pakistan has nuclear weapons.
But he was one of the only people to go to the Oval Office and say, sir, I totally understand, but a war with Iran could really hurt our country. He took massive abuse from his own donors. And they expressed it to him in a very intense way. I know because he showed me.
He's talking about October 7th possibly being an inside job.
I still have the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border.
He starts to question whether Jeffrey Epstein was an Israeli Mossad agent.
Epstein, with his little friend Ghislaine and Ghislaine's father, Robert Maxwell, who is obviously a spy of the Israeli intelligence agencies, the evidence that shows that Epstein was a creation of either Mossad, Israeli intelligence...
And when you consider the level of influence Charlie had, especially amongst the youth, him speaking about things such as Israel and Epstein, and then apparently also he rejected a $150 million donation offer from Netanyahu to become more supportive of Israel in his broadcasts within his company Turning Point USA. It feels more and more like people had motive to want to nip this guy in the bud before he becomes a bigger problem, because right now he's appealing to kids on campus, but in the long run, a lot of people said he was going to be president one day. And I think his direction that he wanted to take the country in was the old direction, right? He's a very religious guy. The new direction that's been, the agenda clearly that we're on now in the West is completely different to where he wants to take it. And clearly he had charisma, he was intelligent, and he had massive support already, which was probably only going to grow and grow and grow throughout the years. It may have been that the powerful people thought, we got to take this guy out before he becomes a massive problem down the road. Now, his wife has been posting stuff, and it's pretty intense. There was a picture of her by his coffin, and I mean, look, I people have made mixed comments about this girl, but like when I see that picture, I just feel sad for her. To be that young in a relationship and have a young family, and to be at the point of never seeing each other again is really rough.
Oh, I love you. I love you. I love you. I know. I love you. I love you so much. I love you. I love you. God bless you.
Some people thought that was an overshare, and for me, I think however you want to grieve your husband, go ahead. Is there a right way to fucking grieve someone? I mean, some people go dark and silent. Some people want to just pour their heart out. And I think some people just don't like that. And fair enough if you don't like, but I don't really have a problem with that. I mean, it's just sad, in my opinion. That's all I feel when I watch that. She did a statement, which I think was quite a long one, but there's a little clip from it I managed to find.
The evildoers responsible for my husband's assassination have no idea what they have done. They killed Charlie because he preached a message of patriotism, faith, and of God's merciful love. But they should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country and this world. You have no idea. You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife. The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry.
People are saying that she shouldn't have said stuff like that, that, you know, she's out of order, that it shows that she's, you know, an angry person or whatever. Her husband just got shot and taken away from her while debating people. I think if anyone's got a right to be angry, it's her. Maybe right now she's just trying to find a reason to keep going, aside from for the children, obviously. And part of it is to fight this fight in her mind and to have a purpose. Because when people lose everything, or the person who was everything to them, they sometimes just lose their fucking mind. And maybe this is her way of coping. And I am not going to judge her just on that in the worst moment of her life. I would rather just see how things go when things settle down. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it's a good time to judge anyone when their husband's just been murdered. And before I sort of conclude the video, they did ask Charlie in one of his interviews how he himself would want to be remembered. And I find this quite interesting because that is a question that when I did my podcast, which I might bring back, I used to ask this one at the end a lot.
If you could be associated with one thing, how would you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. The most important thing is my faith in my life.
I think that's a very interesting reply. Now, when you think about why Charlie was murdered, the official narrative now, obviously, is the left-wing radical, a lone gunman, I suppose, wanted to take him out because he was full of hate. I just think that's not acceptable in any way. Like, yeah, he offended some people with some of his takes, and I can understand why, but no one has a right to not be offended. I offend some people. Very rarely is it intentional. Sometimes I like to be a bit of an idiot, but you know, if you don't like what people are saying, then debate them. If they're influencing people that you don't want to be influenced, influence them yourself. Make better points. Okay, you didn't like what he was saying, you thought it was hate speech and it was harmful. What's more harmful than killing a man? If you had a problem with how harmful his words were, surely you then have a bigger problem with someone going and murdering him. Like, surely that behavior is even worse. And like, you read the things that people are writing and not at all. I don't even think that's the reason he was killed, to be honest. Maybe this is the conspiracy theorist in me, but the level of precision and the way that was carried out, and the fact that the forces that Charlie at such a young age was dealing with, and the level of momentum he was gathering, I couldn't understand why the system would have chosen to take him out, unfortunately. They could have viewed him as dangerous in the long term. You compare him to Trump, for example, who is president. He comes across as a lot sharper than Trump at his age now. Quite a likable guy compared to Trump. I think Trump doesn't, you know, preface things and show the manners that Charlie showed at times when he would be quite polite to people, but even when he was debating them. And sometimes he'd be a bit of a prick. And, you know, his politics were close enough to the middle where he could have achieved a massive amount of votes. And he was young enough and understanding of young people enough to get young people on side. I think he was a real contender to become a president, no doubt about it. Some of his beliefs, like abortion, may have been a problem. Who knows? But he was massively successful at a young age and he had a massive future ahead of him. Whether you like him or not, I think that's not up for debate, that bit. Maybe I didn't find all the relevant clips that why people hate him so much. I really did my best in the short amount of time I've had since getting back from Vegas. But when I watched him, I didn't see someone who was so radical, so evil of heart, so nasty, that it would have anyway justified them taking his life. That doesn't mean I'm a supporter of him, I think he's great or any of that. I'm just saying I don't understand for 1 second the level of happiness that people had in his demise. He's deeply religious. I'm not a religious person. I believe in a God. I just don't believe in a religion. Yes, he was very opinionated, but he didn't actually have any real political power yet to enforce any of his beliefs on anyone. And actually, I didn't find anything he said that shocking in this video because he's a Christian. And like when I was a kid at school, they'd take us to church. And I heard a lot of that shit like 20 odd years ago. So it wasn't that shocking to me. And one thing I will say for Charlie is if someone has to shoot you to silence you in a debate, then they've lost. Because killing a man for expressing his opinion is far more aligned with fascism than anything I heard come out of Charlie Kirk's mouth. And I accept he had some controversial opinions that I myself disagreed with, but debating him is how you beat him, not taking his life and taking him away from his wife and his children. I came across this clip of his little daughter running into his arms. That little girl is now going to grow up for the rest of her life without her father because he had a difference of opinion with people. Yeah, maybe he did say fucked up shit and worse stuff than I've uncovered, but bloody hell, I think that little girl is the one that I'm more thinking about here. Imagine having to grow up and watch that. She probably will see it one day, that footage of her dad dying in the most brutal way, people celebrating it. That's a lot of trauma that she's going to have to grow up with, and I just feel sorry for her. So yeah, that was me take on Charlie Kirk, and hopefully I haven't, fucked this one up. I've tried to be as honest as possible. Sometimes I get things wrong. If I have, you let me know in the comments below, and if there's anything you think I do need to check out and that I've been seriously wrong because you haven't seen this clip, I'll definitely take a look at it if you show us it in the comments below. Appreciate everyone who subscribes. If you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe to the True Geordie YouTube channel. I'll see you on the next one.